Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a bike check, kind of a bike review, a pros and cons of my 2022 Stumpjumper S-Works. I've been riding this non-stop for about 4 months. Before that I was on a Stumpjumper as well, but it was the Comp Alloy, kind of their mid-tier model, and that was a 27.5. So I'd like to kind of talk about going from a 27.5 to a 29er, and then also going from the aluminum frame to the carbon fiber frame, and hopefully get a lot out of it. If you're shopping for an S-Works, hopefully this will help. Thanks. So a little bit of backstory and some perspective to start. So as you might remember me mentioning in a previous video, I started riding bikes at an early age in a freestyle BMX background, and love the small, nimble, playful bikes. So when I got into mountain biking about 3 years ago, I chose a 27.5. And I went with the Specialized Stumpjumper. It just had everything that I wanted and needed. Enough travel, didn't need a crazy downhill or enduro bike at the time. About at the price point I wanted to spend, so I went with that bike. Was really happy with it. It was kind of heavy, you know, with the aluminum frame, but enjoyed that bike a lot. I do a lot of, I'm in Florida, so I do a lot of trails that aren't super intense. I really love, especially coming from the BMX background, I love jumps. I love flowy trails, but I'm most at home with jumps. So love that bike. Rode it hard for about 2 years, sold it, and this was the bike I had my eye on. I was very familiar with the model already, you know, having come from a Stumpjumper, and really wanted to move up to the S-Works, which is like their top tier, Specialized top tier models. And I've loved it so far. I will say the biggest thing switching from the alloy to the carbon frame was the weight. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, but when I got to the carbon frame, I absolutely loved it. Second thing was the bigger wheels. So the 29er definitely climbs a lot better. I feel like it rolls a lot faster. It just overall performed a lot better. Now I will say, going from 27.5 to 29, I struggled a little bit with the jumps at first. It was a little bit harder to whip around, to maybe do 180s. It wasn't as playful until I got used to it. Now I'm kind of used to it, still learning, but I think it's just exactly what I need, and I think I'm going to stick with 29 for a little while. So let's start with my favorite thing about this bike, and that would be the frame. Specialized has a great reputation for building some fantastic carbon frames, and this is no exception. This is an S-Works Fact 11M carbon frame, and it's the size S5. They size theirs a little differently. This would be comparable to other companies, maybe extra large. I'm 6'2", so I can bounce between a large or an extra large frame. My old bike was a large, so I opted to try something new and go with the extra large this time. My old bike felt a little small sometimes for my height. Again, it depends on what you want to do. I could have went between both. This is a great frame, super light. It's just over 30 pounds how it's set up now, and you know, it's got 500 millimeter reach, 432 on the chainstay, I believe. It's got the SWAT box in the frame integrated, which is awesome. You can throw a tube in there, a pump, multi-tool, which you probably don't need because of the SWAT box and the stem, which we'll go over later. It's great. The only thing I've added onto the frame here is the Fidlock water bottle holder. I just think it's neat. Is it necessary? Probably not, but it's got magnets, and I like how it looks. It looks a little cleaner than the cage, and I really like it. But a great frame. Immediately going from an alloy to a carbon frame was like night and day. I could feel the difference. It was much easier to whip around. It was much easier to especially for climbs. Downhill didn't really affect it much for me personally, but climbing was a lot easier to control the bike and get forward on it. But really enjoy this frame. All right, let's talk suspension. This is a full Fox setup, so we've got Fox in the front and rear. Up front, we've got the forks are Fox Float 34 factory. It's got the Grip 2 damper, which I prefer over the Grip 1. I just like having the extra little adjustability. It's got the Kashima coating, which if somebody tells you the Kashima coating is noticeably different, maybe they're much better of a rider than I am. I can't really tell any difference, but it looks cool, I guess. So there's that. 140 millimeters of travel, so it's very much a trail bike, you know, but I haven't found, for my personal needs, again, I don't live up in the Pacific Northwest, I live in Florida, I haven't found my personal needs, I haven't found a need for needing much more travel than this. 130 millimeters of travel in the back. It's got the Fox Float DPS factory. It's trail tuned. It's got the Evil air sleeve with the Kashima coating. It's got 3 position adjustments for you know, more plush, more firm, and then extra firm ride. And I usually just leave it on the middle setting. I don't really mess with the rear shock that much, but I've been happy with it. All right, I said the frame was my favorite thing. A close runner-up would be this cockpit. It's just so clean with all the AXS options. We've got a DD stem, 50 millimeters of length on that, Roval Traverse SL carbon bars. We've got DD knuckle buster grips. We've got the AXS system, like I said, all wireless system for the derailleur, wireless shifting. We've got the RockShox Reeves expensive. It's, you know, we'll talk about that at the end. I mean, the whole bike is, quote, expensive, but, you know, it's about the value proposition, what you pay versus what you get. And I really like it a lot. I will say the batteries on both the dropper post and the derailleur, I have had 0 issues with. I forget to charge them all the time. Now, I always bring an extra battery with me, just in case, but, you know, out of 5 or 6 rides, I may charge it once, if that, and I've yet to have one die on me or not shift on me or anything like that. So I've been very happy with that. The brakes have been great. I've got the SRAM G2 Ultimate brakes on here. This is what comes on the bar. Now, they're a hydraulic disc, 200 millimeter in the front and 180 millimeters in the back. Now, I will say though, you know, the common theme you'll see with this bike is I haven't really changed much. Let's talk about the drivetrain. Something I failed to mention going over the frame earlier was it does have, you know, which is very common, internal routing for all the cables. Now, having the AXS system, there's not a lot of need for routing many cables. It's really just plug and play. You've got, you know, not much at all to route, which is great. But the drivetrain, the rear derailleur, of course, we have the SRAM XX1 Eagle AXS wireless, which is great. Battery, Bluetooth, all that. The shift levers are the SRAM Eagle AXS. I've got the rocker paddle on there. The cassette is the SRAM XG 1299, 12 speed, of course. It's a 52 tooth. The crankset is the SRAM XX1 Eagle, and that's at 170 millimeters of length there for the S5. Again, your crank length will change based on the size you get. I believe the S1 has a shorter size, and I think it's the S2 to S5 is 170 like I have, and then it goes up. The S6 is a little bit longer than that. The chainring is a 30 tooth. I opted for the Chromag Scarab pedals. I just like the big platform that they've got. I like that you can replace the pins as well. All right, let's get into the wheel setup here. Again, more carbon fiber. I absolutely love it. The wheels are Roval Control 240 hookless carbon. It's a 29er, of course, tubeless ready. The front hub is a DT Swiss 240, the seal cartridge, of course, and the rear is a DT Swiss 240 also. It's got a SRAM XD driver body on it. The spokes are DT Swiss competition race spokes. And then the tires I haven't switched out. You know, I have a love-hate for these tires. You know, part of it is probably me. I keep them pretty inflated. I like a real hard tire, so you know, sometimes I'll slide out a little bit and won't get as much traction. That's on me. But we've got the front's a Butcher. It's got their grid casing and their Gripton T7 compound, and it's a 2.3 inch wide tire. The rear is a Specialized Purgatory. It's got the grid casing, it's got the Gripton T7 compound also, and it's a 2.3 inch rear tire. So 2.3 in the front and the back. All right, so overall review, I really like this bike. I think there's a lot of pros, a lot of which I mentioned. Love the carbon frame, the lightweight strength of the carbon fiber. Love the swat box in the stem with the multi-tool. Love the swat box in the frame to be able to store a tube, a pump, cereal, you know, whatever you want to put in there. And I love that the bike comes with the AXS system. I'm a fan of that. It's worked well for me. Love the carbon wheels, the carbon bars. You know, for the price you're paying though, and for an S-Works model, that's kind of expected, right? But it's all worked great. You know, I haven't really changed much on this bike, and the reason being, I knew I was buying, you know, one of Specialized top tier bikes. It's about $11,000, and for that price, I don't want to be switching out a bunch of parts. Now, if there are grips or seat or smaller things, obviously pedals of your choice, it doesn't come with pedals, I would switch those out, and I did switch the seat out to an ergon that I like, and I put on the Chromag Scarab pedals, which have a nice flat surface. But besides that, I want to ride the bike how it comes and get a feel for all of its parts, and then change parts that I don't like, change parts that break. Luckily, riding it for 4 months pretty hard. You know, I'm 6'2", about 210 pounds. I'm not a light guy. I have not messed anything up, really. I haven't broken anything, I haven't dented anything. It's stood the test so far. I did put a fender on. It's the cheap Fox fender, which is a necessity in Florida with all the rain. So as far as pros and cons, lots of pros. Cons, well, one, which is kind of out of everyone's control right now, is availability. You're not going to really be able to find your size potentially. I know if you go direct from Specialized, I don't have any S5s in stock. My local bike shop, I was fortunate in, I think I ordered this in July, and they got it in a couple weeks. They got it pretty fast, and I was very fortunate because after that, I haven't seen any more at my local bike shop. And just things are, you know, supply chain constraints, things are hard to get right now. So can you get it would be one problem. And, you know, I've been shopping e-bikes. That's been a very hard thing. I've had my, you know, top 3 choices, and it's been very difficult to get any one of those 3 that I wanted because of supply chain constraints right now. The other thing would be price. You know, it's all about value proposition, what you pay versus what you get. You know, if I had wanted to buy a frame and build up my own bike, that'd be a different thing. You know, I'd probably spend less than $11,000, maybe not, depending on what I went with. But that's not what I want to do. I wanted to buy a complete bike, how they spec'd it, and ride it for a little while. And really enjoying it so far. Really don't have any cons. You know, price and availability, which are kind of out of our control. Besides that, I think it's a great purchase. I paid full price for this, and I'm happy with my purchase. Yeah, I really enjoy my Specialized Stumpjumper 2022 model in the S-Works configuration. Guys, thanks for stopping by. Another video soon.